Okay, here we are. This is Kathy L. Murphy at my little cabin in the woods, Murphy's Law, starting my fourth week without running water. I mean, it's been crazy, y'all. But I did have, for those that don't know around the country that are watching this, Texas got hit really hard with an ice storm. And it knocked out all of our water and rolling blackouts and internet. And both Stephanie and I've had broken pipes. My adjuster showed up today, but of course he told me that he couldn't tell me anything. I would get the full report in 7 to 10 days. So
Oh,
7 to 10 more days. But the good news is they went ahead and said the plumber can come. They're going to pay for the plumber, but he won't be here till Thursday. So I've got plenty of rainwater to boil and take baths with. That's why the scarf. I was hoping to do some kind of wonderful Chanel look, but this is the way it's going tonight. So Claire Fullerton is here from Malibu, California. And look at you, Stephanie. You look like $1,000,000. And I love you guys have such clean hair.
oh,
I'm so happy. And
I just got
Stephanie,
home from work.
I
Just
know,
come home
but you
from the
got your
trip.
pipes fixed at your house, so you lucked out. And there were 78 people ahead of me waiting that lost everything. So it's been quite a trip here in Texas. Actually, it's now all over the place. It's in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. It's the problem was our temperatures fell below zero for a week, and our pipes here in Texas were never meant for that kind of cold for that length of time. So everything burst. So it's been very interesting. And so, how's the fire situation out in Malibu?
It's not happening that I'm aware of. It's today was 72 degrees.
Oh,
And so I went out and got a little vitamin D for
Yep.
a little 20 minutes. And, I do that. So that's for all of the inclement weather we can have here.
Yeah.
When it is, the beginning of March, when it's like this, I do count my blessings.
Yeah. Well, it was beautiful today, wasn't it, Stephanie? It was a
yeah.
little chilly, but you had to have a jacket. But we had 2 days right after this when my pipes burst, where it went up to 77. I think some places went up to 80. So
Mm.
we went from no heat to having to turn on the air conditioner. And even the guy that the adjuster came over, he's from Tyler, and he said in all these years he's never seen anything like this. But no matter where you live in the country, you're dealing with earthquakes, hurricanes, fires.
Yes,
You know,
it's always something
it's
somewhere.
always something, and it's something that we forget sometimes, that we're not the most important person on the planet. You know, nature is taking care of itself, and we just happen to be sometimes in the way.
That's
So
right.
I am reminded of that as I looked out and saw the birds singing, and my cat was frolicking on the back deck that was covered in ice just a few days ago. It's so bizarre. But we're here tonight, everybody, for the online Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guys book club, because we have a great book. And this book is, it's almost had Murphy's Law, because I think I've announced it 3 times on my list to be published, and they kept delaying and delaying. Of course, we've had COVID and all this, but oh, and I've got paint fingers, so don't look at my hands. I've been painting all day. The Chanel Sisters by Judith Little. And I have been so excited about this book and waiting for it, because I am a big Coco Chanel fan, and I thought I'd read everything about her, seen every documentary, seen every movie. And honest to God, unless I go back and look at some of my books, because I have quite a few of them, I don't remember in any of the books even mentioning sister. Do you guys remember any?
Never.
Never. And what I am fascinated with, and what the Public Queen Book Club is all about, is stories that have not been told, stories that from a perspective that you haven't heard before. So when I heard that this wonderful book was coming out, I just couldn't hardly wait. And we just had Janet Skesley and Charles, who did the Paris Library. So I was talking to Judith this past week about her book, and asking, the Paris Library is in 27 countries now. And I was asking her, I know you're in a lot of countries. And she said, they're in all these foreign countries, but they're not in France. And so we'll talk about that when she comes on, because I can't even imagine a book on Coco Chanel that they wouldn't want to pick up. But interesting thing about learning about other cultures and other people, sometimes other cultures, it would be kind of like if an Australian came in and wrote a story about the slave trade in the US. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of seen as what? But, you know, the way I feel about a good story, it doesn't matter who writes it or when it is written. If it's well researched and written well and a good story, it doesn't matter to me. So I am thrilled that she'll be joining us. She had her own book club or another book club right before this, and she said she's going to end it early and she's going to jump on board. But some other things about Judith, you know, she has, this is not her first book. She is an attorney. She went to the University of Virginia, and she has her law degree from the University of Virginia School of Law. But what I didn't know, and I've known Judith for a long time, in fact, Stephanie and I and Judith and Catherine Casey and Julie Cantrell, am I missing anybody? A year ago,
Tamara.
Tamara McNally Bolton, all of us Texas authors had our very first book signing for The Pulpwood Queens Celebrates 20 years. And it was down in Houston where she lives at Murder by the Book, McKenna Jordan's store. And we were so excited. And I remember, which this could have been a sign of the times, Stephanie, because we went down there, Tamara and Stephanie and I traveled down there to meet all of them at the bookstore. And when we got down there, there'd been a flood. Do you remember this?
No water.
There was no water in Houston.
That's unbelievable.
It's just, and the store is near Rice University, and it's in a well, you know, traveled place and lots of shopping and everything. So we thought we'd get a cup of coffee because we're a little early. There was no place to get coffee. So we went on to the bookstore, and the bookstore didn't even have water. They did nothing. They had no refreshments, no water, no coffee, because they'd had this flood and there was no water. And the funniest things that you remember, and I remember these people came from Michigan that somehow were connected to Catherine Casey.
Yeah.
And we couldn't believe all the way from Michigan, they were in Houston but we did this big book event, and I shared some pictures today and with Judith. And then when we left, we had to find we stopped at a little breakfast place, and we thought they'll have coffee. No, they had, did they even have bottled water?
I don't think so. And, you know, I ordered a salad and I got one piece of a lettuce leaf.
Yes.
One tomato, half a tomato. And I said, I think we're in the Twilight Zone.
It was the weirdest thing because we all ordered these meals, but when they came out, it was like, it wasn't even an appetizer. And we paid a lot of money and no water, no coffee. So it wasn't until we got way down the road that we found a Starbucks or a coffee place, but we hadn't had any coffee all day. So that was kind of, I'll never forget it. And we were so excited because everywhere I was going to go with the book, I was going to have those authors come in that were featured in our book, because it was an anthology of 70 authors. And so just about anywhere I go, if I went to California, I could pull in all the California. So we had all these things kind of in place, and then COVID hit. And it hit hard, and we didn't go anywhere. And that was the first and only book signing that we had. And every author I've talked to this year has said, this has been the worst year ever. And the bookstores, I had every Tuesday, I meet with Mandy and Sherry Stomp of Main Street Reads and kind of go over things that we're doing to make sure people are buying the books and getting game plans. And we're talking about, she just had her second anniversary, her birthday party. And we're going, it's hard to believe. I was there right when she was opening the store, and now it's 2 years later, and we've been in this lockdown that's gone on forever. Do you get out at all much, Claire? You walk?
I don't really have cause to, and I haven't gotten the shot. And my husband is 8 years older than I, and they, contacted him, I think 2 days ago and said, you can come get your shot. And he doesn't want to, and I don't want to, because I'm at the point now where I want to wait and just see who's going to do what from this shot, because there's a part of me after the last 2 years and just how unpredictable, and just when you think things are, somewhat solidified, you come to find out that it's a different story. So I'm thinking now, what is it that we don't know about the shot? And if I do, in fact, book going to Scotland and Ireland and all that, and there are some other places in America I would like to go, Louisiana being one of them, and we'll see. Well, then, of course, if I'm going to travel, yes, I'll get it, especially to travel internationally, you have to have it. And so I'm just going to put it off until it's necessary. And I think that my lifestyle hasn't changed a whole lot in terms of the way I spend my days, because, I've been doing the full-time writing thing, and we're kind of in a rural part, at the very end of Malibu, and we've got these dogs, and we have a little land, and I don't really have cause to be running around a whole lot, other than, the odd walk with the girls and these kinds of things. So I can say definitely that my lifestyle hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, in terms of going to the grocery store and doing whatever, but I haven't been out running around and going to, any type of social activity, because nobody has for the last year. There just hasn't really been anything going on.
It's pretty much that way here. Right now, it's not necessarily. I can't leave anyway. There's no way I'm going to leave right now until I can really give myself a thorough scrubbing. I mean, this doing bathing Indian style, I can go there now because I know what to do, but I'll tell you, there's nothing better than a nice.
You have no running water?
None. Haven't had it. This is the 4th week. None.
Well, what are you doing? Using rainwater?
Yes. I use rainwater. The snow melt is gone. So I put these 5-gallon buckets out when we had a thunderstorm, tornado kind of thing, hail thing the other night. And I filled all these 5-gallon buckets. They're sitting around my house, and I go up with a trash can, and I fill up my turkey baster pan on the stove, and I heat the water for bathing, and then I use it to flush my toilets. And the guy goes, well, it looks like you got enough water. And I caught a lot. And then they actually, when I went up, we don't have very much things open here, but I actually drove up looking for drinking water and went to the dollar store, and I got bottled water, and then I bought as many jugs as I could get in my grocery cart.
Good.
I just filled my bathtub with all those jugs. So I'll have water to drink or do dishes or whatever, but it's a pain.
Yes.
When you
it sounds like a pain.
Well, I have not washed my hair. So I have gone through 2 cans of dry shampoo, and it actually looks okay, but I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I've never gone. Well, I went backpacking in Colorado one time in my 20s, and we went to like some hot springs and things like that, but we didn't get a shower for 2 weeks. That's the longest I've ever gone. But I wore a hat the whole time. I'm tougher than I thought I was. And
apparently you are.
But I've got
we went without
packages of wet wipes, and I'm just constantly cleaning the house. And evidently I didn't do a good job on my hands because I still got green paint. But I'm doing the best I can. And but everybody in this neighborhood's the same way. I mean, yeah. The mail is supposed to run through sleet and snow. It didn't run for a week. It was bad. So now it just looks like summer, but it's the long term effects of this are gonna, I don't know if you guys, one of our authors lives in Austin. Her home, they're gonna have to take it down to the studs because the pipes burst. It was a large home and everything is ruined. And so they're going to have to move out for a year and a half while they rebuild.
That's terrible.
Oh no, go on YouTube and look at ice storm in East Texas and you're going to go. The one that got me was the young man that lived in a 5-story apartment complex, and the water was coming through the ceiling, and they have photos of their ceiling fans with icicles hanging foots down. And I think, what keeps you from getting electrocuted?
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty bad. And my neighbor, I go, how did you get yours fixed before me? And she said, I called every plumber in East Texas and got on their list. And when the first one called me, I said, come on. I said, oh, I just called one and said, let me know. I never thought about, I don't know. I just didn't think that through, I guess. But she got hers all fixed, but everybody says it's going to cost you. So pray that insurance comes through for me. But back to the book, Prose and Pandemic today, Eileen Sanchez, she's doing the coolest thing. She's putting up all of our books on her page for each month with them listed below and where to order them from Main Street Reads. I just want to thank Eileen Sanchez for doing that.
That's wonderful.
And then Mary Helen Sheriff from Bookish Road Trips is interviewing me every month and showing the videos of me talking about all my books. The kindness of all my fellow bloggers has been just outstanding. And Mary even sent me a list of all the connections that she made coming to Girlfriend Weekend and how it's filled out her program on her blog site for, I think you're on there. I think you're.
I am. She sent me the questions and I went back and forth with her via messaging. She's lovely.
She is lovely. And she'll be doing a panel next year for Girlfriend Weekend. So I'm very excited about it. And then Stephanie, you had some news. You were going to be, is it coming up or have you done it yet? You were going to be, oh, was it last night? Have you got are they taping it or anything?
Yeah, they taped it, but I've been snowed under at the store. My 6-foot Madonna marble come in from Italy today.
Oh my God. Thank God it came after the ice storm.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So that was a big ordeal getting that from the
truck. Is it still there?
No, it's already gone. 18-wheeler wrecker truck come and picked it up on a forklift and put it up on the wrecker and delivered it. Was
it here in East Texas where it was going? Did you hear that? A 16-foot Carrara marble David.
Do you have a picture?
Yeah, it's on my website.
I'll have to look.
It's on my Facebook page. I posted it before I left.
This is your second one you've sold, right?
Well, we did a 7-foot David, not too long ago, and then I've imported back. But a lot of the things will go to churches or, different villas, mansions and stuff that they put the big marble out by the pool or the entrance, the round to the driveway. But this one is going, So I've been busy nonstop. I just ran in and flipped on the computer.
I tell you, it's amazing. If you ever get a chance, Claire, to make it back this way, everybody's got to go to decorate. They wouldn't believe.
I really want to go. It just looks so divine. Everything that you show, it just makes you want to build an Italian villa.
Well, I have on this wall, I'm going to turn this over here by my bookshelf. On this wall, I don't know if you can see my 2 antique pictures from India on the wall. Let's see if I can go up. Yeah, there they are. They're 2 vintage pictures from India from her store. I've got several things of Stephanie's, including Einstein behind me with the books. So it's a little, it's by my library. It's got all kinds of little cubbies in it. You can put stuff And I had to tell you, I had it out in my studio, and then it always shocked me when I pull in because I think there was a man standing in there. And so I brought it in the house. I don't even see it anymore. But the guy, when he came out to turn my water off, because it burst like after midnight, and he skittered over here in the truck, and he said, "Wait a minute, are you that house that's got that man standing in the building?" I said, "That's my art studio." And he goes, "Yeah, there's a man in there." And I said, it's not a man, it's a, it's a bookcase. And then he said, "Yeah, and you had a skeleton in." I guess I've been freaking out all the security people and the UPS guys with all the things that I have in my shop.
You have a lot going on in that room. I'm looking at it. It's fascinating.
I have all my new little finger string puppets from India. I got a bulk and I do puppet shows. I did that for one thing I did. There's this wonderful Indian film called Pahili, and it talks about these puppets, and they talk in the film. And I've got to have I love puppets. I don't have my original puppet from when I was a child. I had a lamb chop and a Charlie horse. Do you remember those when that Sherry Lewis was on? But I gave my grandson Laney's, little sock puppet of lamb chop. But I have a Russian puppet theater in my children's library over there, and I've got lots of puppets. So I used to be the children's manager at Barron's Books years and years ago, and I would put on all kinds of story times and puppet shows, and I'm just continuing that now with my little grandson, who's going to be 2. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on in here too. But the house is, this is just all the reads that are coming in on this settee. Can you see all these books coming in?
Yes.
Wow.
And people go, "What are you reading?" And I go, "Listen, you guys,
Everything.
everything. I'm reading, I'm painting, and I'm working on my next book. So I want to have it come out in 2022. And hopefully, I'm hoping this will be a better year for all of us. I'm just going to pretend like these 2 years we didn't happen. And I'm just gonna go like gangbusters and getting everybody's books back out there, because I think once we can get back out again, I think it'll be fine. Most people don't pay attention to pub dates anyway. I think the publishers do, but every time somebody comes to the Stephanie's store and they see her book, it's a new book to them.
Right. That's
and
true.
She's got
That's
my
true.
books in there too. So I think Stephanie's probably sold more of my books than anybody, because they're there, and
Yes.
she kind of gives them the hard sell when they come in. Have you met the largest book club? I go, stop. When I'm there, she'll go, "She's world famous." And I just go, "Man, this girl could put P.T. Barnum to shame."
But you should say that because it's true.
Right.
Well,
It's true.
Right.
She's not exaggerating.
Embrace it.
I
Welcome
think
it.
so. I think you should.
well, I love to publicize everybody else's books, but I'm really excited about the Chanel sisters. We've got all these international
I
readers.
love that book, and I wrote a review, and the New York Journal of Books put it up.
Did
So
I
it's-
share that one yet? I don't know if I've shared that. Maybe you need to tag me and we'll share it on Breathless Bubbles and Books, because everybody's having fun. She put a great photo up today of Coco Chanel, and they think it's the first photo of her ever. Her waist is got to be like
Teeny
this.
tiny.
Did you see how teeny she was?
I did not see that post. I'm going to look for it.
It's
Yeah.
up, and she's got so much sass in this picture. This was before the hat making days, before any of her dreams of being a designer. She was just trying to survive, and she had a spirit that I just found admirable. And she's standing with,
What year was this? Do you know? Because I've
no, but
got my big screen.
it's like it's after the turn of the century, isn't it? Or is it still I'm trying to think when it was taken. I mean, she's got the bustle and the time. It's very Victorian type, the big mutton sleeve. Um, I think it's turn of the century photo, but her waist isn't any bigger than this. I swear, it's just very tiny. And it's just always amazing to me how little people used to be. You know,
Well, that's true. That's true.
we've gotten to be a bigger people. And then in my family, I'm like an Amazon. And my mom always told everybody, they'd say, Mary, you're going to have to put a rock on that girl's head. She's so tall. And my mom says it's because she drinks so much milk. Did you guys have milk delivered to your house when you were kids? We had a metal box outside our door, and the milkman would come by and he'd put 3 jugs in it. And this would be twice a week. And my dad was a big milk drinker, and that's what I drank, milk. But my sisters are only like, I think they're 5'1", 5'2", and 5'3". My mom.
Really?
They're tiny. My dad was only 5'8", and he kind of shrunk towards the end, but I think I'm shrinking. I don't think I'm as tall as I used to be.
I'm not as tall as I used to be. I'm looking at the picture right now.
Isn't that amazing? What does it say?
It says, this is the oldest known photograph of Coco Chanel taken in Moulin, France, when she was about 21. If you think she was busy plotting her fashion empire, she was not. She had other hopes and dreams. By judging her body language, they did not include this guy. Like so many successful people, it wasn't until she tried and failed at other things that she came upon her true calling. See, the Chanel sisters takes readers back to her early days, the days when she struggled to figure out who she wanted to be. I went to college dreaming of becoming a marine biologist and living on a tropical island somewhere. Then I took chemistry. Was there ever something that you wanted to be that was completely wrong for you? That's what she has, but it's a wonderful picture. And yes, her waist is freakish.
Yeah, it's like she didn't have a rib cage or something. So
I don't know what it is, but it's like not natural.
It's not normal, that's for sure. I mean, she's very tiny, but it's interesting how we've changed in body types and in just 100 years. We've really changed. We're getting taller. I mean, when I've been stuck on watching all these Indian films, and we always think of people from India as being tiny, but all the Indian people I know are tall.
Yeah.
I had a professor in college that I took several classes from, and Abby was really tall, and her husband's tall, and her son is really tall. But I always think of them as being, more like my family. But that's one place I want to go, and what's one thing that, while we're waiting, what's one thing that you always wanted to do that you never got to do?
The Scottish Highlands. I mean, I think that I spent all that time in Ireland, and I'm in Ireland, I think collectively 4 times, and one time I stayed longer than a year, and I never went to Scotland the whole time I was there. And, I had cause to do my ancestry DNA. I may have told you this. I'm 48% Scottish, 45% Irish, 5% Swedish, and like that's it. The other 2% is somewhere around England. We don't know. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm not even a mutt. It's like these people married each other is what it looks like. And okay, this explains the ancestral thing, bloodline going on I've got. But I did find it fascinating. And so around the Giant's Causeway, and that area in between Scotland,
where they have those
on into Antrim. And so that's what I want to do. And I was actually planning on doing it. But then, COVID derailed everybody. So that's probably the only reason I'm going to get serious and get that shot, is because I want to take that trip before I'm walking with a cane.
I know. Yeah,
seriously.
Have you gone to any of the UK states, Stephanie, with your European? You have?
We've been to Budapest, Prague, Austria, all up through there. I've gone to England and different places like that on my own, on buying trips.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Isn't Tony's wife is from Wales, right? Isn't she
Yeah.
originally from Wales?
Ah, where in Wales?
born and raised in Wales. She
Ah.
showed me. And have you ever been to Wales?
I've been to Fishguard, and that was it. That's how you cross to the Irish Sea. But I think that we've been watching, everybody's seen Shetland, of course, which is not, it's a similar kind of terrain, but there's something called hinterland that we've watched that's set in Wales, and it looks like, where are the trees? I mean,
There's on my film club the other night, we watched a film done in Scotland by Adriana Trigiani, and it's absolutely, I loved it. It's
What's the
so
name of it?
beautiful. It's called, oh gosh, it's got 3 words and they're like so simple that I can't ever get it right. Just you can watch it on YouTube. It stars Craig Ferguson, Craig Ferguson, Kathy Lee Gifford, and let me think. Oh, whoops! Somebody's trying to call me. Let's see if that's
That
Judith.
might be
Oh,
Judith.
that's Judith. Let me get her on. And no, I'll forget. There's Judith. Hey, Judith, are you there? Be sure and turn on your mic. Yeah. And your video down the left-hand corner. Okay, yay. There she is.
Hello, Judith.
What club night? You look all snazzy. Okay, your mic is not on. Turn your mic on. There we go.
Okay.
Yay.
Hey.
We've been talking
Hi.
about going to another country in our COVID shot, and I was telling them about Adriana Trigiani's film that I did last week is set in Scotland, and it's Kathy Lee Gifford. It's hilarious, but it's beautiful. I mean, her husband dies, and she's an American, and she goes to all the places she always wanted to go. She starts in Scotland, and this Craig Ferguson owns his family home has been turned into a bed and breakfast. And what I loved about the movie was not the stars. I mean, they're great, but the Scottish guy who plays his housekeeper and who does all the repairs and cleans the rooms, he's priceless. I mean, this guy, he's Scottish and he's priceless. So just Google it on YouTube, Craig Ferguson film, and it'll come up.
If I went to Scotland, I would never leave.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know, but you lived in France. Everybody, this is Judith Little. And
Hello, Judith.
We have your book. We're so excited. Finally,
Loved it.
we have
Loved
your book.
it.
Thank you.
But I found out when I was talking to her this week that you actually lived there for a year. Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I did it was when I was in college, and you can do those. You used to be able to, you can't now, but you will again soon. So I studied there as part of a college program and lived with a French family, and took some classes at a French university. So yeah, it was a great experience, and I loved, it was, interesting, fascinating. It was a pain in the neck because French people are so different from us.
That is very true.
You're amongst friends here.
Yeah, I
tell me how you found them and why were they so different? What was hard for you?
Well, if you've watched Emily in Paris, everything about that I think is so true. And I have French, and I asked them if they watched that, and they said, "Oh, there's the stereotypes of the French people are so untrue." And I was like, "They're so true."
It's true.
Like, for instance, I would just walk down the street and people would say hi to me. Like, they just knew I was an American. Like, French people, they'd be like, "Hi," like kind of like not mocking me, but like as a kind of, but yeah, no, they were not very friendly. But the biggest thing was that everything shut down at like 8 o'clock. And so we were Americans, like we stayed up late. And if I decided I needed a burger at 9 o'clock at night, like, you're out of luck. There is no, or the convenience store, there's no convenience store.
Right.
So I don't know, it's like they don't, they live a slower life, or at least back then, they're not used to all the conveniences that we have, and the modern appliances. And
They go to the store every day and their wash machines are often in their kitchen, which is
yeah, we
weird.
weren't allowed to use them. We had to go to the laundromat. They didn't, the people we lived with were very well off and lived in a very nice apartment, but I don't know, maybe it would have been a fortune or something for us to use their.
And they don't have hot water in
Really?
no place I stayed had any.
No.
I remember we stayed, our main place we stayed when we were there for a week, the first time I went there, was in a lady whose her son was the editor-in-chief of like the Life magazine of France. I can't think of the name of it, but his mother was 80 some years old, and she used to teach Le Cordon Bleu in New York. She was a chef, and she had this estate. And I think it's the same place I saw in Emily in Paris, where they go for the weekend to the winery. It looked exactly, the swimming pool, it looks exactly like where we stayed. And I remember she didn't speak any English, but when I got there, I presented her with a tiara because we're the Pulpwood Queens. And she taught us in her kitchen one night in her little house coat dress with her tiara on. She taught us how to make homemade dressings, because nobody buys store-bought dressings and for your salad. And I remember writing copious notes trying to get it all down, and she's throwing stuff in. It was fascinating. But she did this 9-course dinner for us one night, and I've never had it. The dinner lasted from 7 to like 1 in the morning, and she made like what's that thing they soak in liquor? It's like
the baba cake.
No, it's not that. It's got like madeleines in it, and then it's got layers of stuff, and then they pour liquor over.
Charlotte Russe?
Yes, like that. She brought it out, and we just all went crazy. And she came back out. She had another full one. She goes, "Who wants more?" Everybody got seconds, and there was so much wine at the table. And then we went after dinner. It was like in the middle of the night. We went with flashlights they cut limestone blocks out of this, hillside to build the home. And those where they cut them out of there is now where they keep the wine. And so we went in there, and it was so cool. It was summer, but it was really cool at night. And I remember Lainey was with me. She was 13. Now she's 31. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
And that was the coolest experience I've ever had in my life. And they gave us the tour of the winery, and they had a lagoon, and I hiked all over the property, and they had all kinds of vineyards. Across the street was a man who was a famous poet, had lived in the house, and it's like farmland all the way around it, but nobody lived in the house. And we walked all the way through it. And I remember the farmer that took us through got off his tractor and gave us the tour. And we had a little, like one of those little, not the curly wire-haired terriers, following us around everywhere we went. It was cute stuff. But I love France. I loved it, but they kept telling me I was too loud.
Well, we're all too loud.
I remember coming downstairs the last day to leave. It was D-Day. It was the anniversary of D-Day. And I was trying to get everybody together so we could, leave in the van to go to the airport. And the man came out from behind the counter and scolded me for being too loud this early in the morning. I thought, it's 9:30. And I was just talking in my everyday voice, and he goes, "You too loud." And I was so embarrassed. But
There's some American, I saw Annie on the Right Review had him on, went over there, and with a Frenchman, they opened up a restaurant in Paris that's dedicated to American fare. And I think they may serve breakfast, but what they're doing is everything the American way right in the middle of Paris. They even had Thanksgiving. They served Thanksgiving there. did the turkey and the whole 9 yards on Thanksgiving. And apparently the restaurant's doing really well.
Well,
But
you know, I have a story about them serving American food in Paris, because I took my
What?
daughters a few years ago and we went to the flea market, you know, the big
Oh, yeah.
and they had a food court and they had food trucks. So they were like trying to do this American food truck thing. And then they had one that was selling burgers. And so me and the girls, you know, we go and we get our burgers and then we go and sit down. It was packed. Like there was hardly anywhere to sit and everybody's smoking. And
Yeah.
we sit and we start eating our burgers and I like take a bite and then I'm like, stop, everybody stop. Don't take
An
the
egg.
huh?
That's an egg on the burger.
No, it was raw on the inside. They didn't cook it all the way through, but that's how and then everybody else is just eating their burgers and it's like raw, like it's cooked on the outside.
Well, unusual.
But
No. Everything, a lot of their
Did they
meat.
not know?
that's how they like it, I think.
Yeah, steak tartare was one of we went to this outdoor fancy restaurant and they sat us at these linen tables along this river. There was a wedding across the street, you know, across the other side of it. We watched it, but they brought out, and I go, what is this? And it was raw steak. And they said steak tartare, you know, and you're going,
Right.
I remember Lainey ate mine, Margie's, and somebody else's and hers. She loved it. And I go, oh my God, all I could think of was Rosemary's Baby. Did you ever see that movie, Rosemary Baby, where she ate?
Why did they have that in the movie?
Yeah, they ate raw. When she was pregnant with that baby, she was eating raw. And to this day, I'm a Kansas girl. We fry our hamburgers or grill them till they're a brick.
Judith, when you are in Paris, did you go to the Clinging Court or the Pujas market?
Yeah.
That's where I go. I used to go every year for years and years.
We need to go. It's so fun.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, let's go.
Large market in
You would love it.
And I fly into France and I go by myself mostly because I'm
going to show you something.
because I go and I know where I'm going and people I'm meeting and stuff. And but it's just a market outside the outskirts of France and it's stall after stall after stall. And
it's huge. It's huge.
Someone that comes from England with the truck and I tag everything and then he picks it up and we
But what do you buy there?
I want to go with you.
Let's go.
Just all kinds of neat things.
It's huge. I mean, it's like you could spend days there. It's so big. You also have to walk through kind of a sketchy area to get there.
I walk under, I go as far as I can and then you have to walk the rest of the way and then you go under the overpass and you go under and you think, oh my gosh, you're going to be mugged.
Yeah. It's totally worth it though. Not getting mugged. Hopefully you don't get mugged, but going.
We spent most of our time in the south of France, but we did take the train in from Florence to Paris, the night train, and the conductor, they put you in there like, they have 3 bunks on each side. And they had 6 of us in there and it's not very big. And the conductor says, oh, you're from, you know, he's just rattling in French and he comes back and he's got champagne and he gave everybody in my car champagne and my daughter's 13. He was giving her champagne. I go, oh my gosh. But Margie, we had one full day in Paris, then we came home and Margie went to the Paris flea market and that's where she got this, you guys. This is a Parisian opera tiara from the 1800s and she paid nearly, I think, $1,000 American dollars for this thing. But she told me that when she died, she was going to give it to me. And I go, why? Why do I have to wait till you die? And so back a couple of years ago, we were in Nacogdoches. She said, I have something for you. And she gave it to me and I just started crying. I go, are you dying? And she goes, no, I decided that you needed it for your next book cover.
It's incredible.
It's a crown. I have a couple bobby pins hanging from the back, but it's incredible. And it's, I've never seen anyone like it. And people go, where'd you get it? And I've got a collection of tiaras, but it's actually from, Paris.
It's gorgeous.
It really, really is.
And Stephanie gave me one that's got an Eiffel Tower on it. And
Of course she did.
yeah,
Of course Stephanie did that.
but we need to talk about your book. Okay.
Yeah, how's it doing, Judith? How's
Yeah.
your book doing?
You know, I think it's doing well. I don't really know much. I'm just the author. So
But you're having a good time.
I'm having a good time.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a roller coaster, you know, like publishing.
Well, your book is being published in Spain and all these different foreign countries, but she was telling me it's not being published in France.
Why not?
My editor told me that French people don't really like for Americans to write from the French point of view.
That's true. That's true. The French, when the French always say, you know, that they are the when we go often, you know, to Provence in that area, and we hired a lady that was in the Louvre to go with us to do a certain tour, Tony's friend. And anyway, when we were in a church, she started telling us about the basilica, but she started at the beginning. And I said, wait a minute, we are Americana. We already know the birth of Jesus, Mary, everything, you know, we don't need to go all the way back. And she said, no, y'all are Americana. You do know nothing. That is just the way the French are. They don't want to hear anything about they think they are the experts on everything.
I can kind of understand that. And I think that having spent a lot of time in Ireland, that it's the same way that I know authors that are Irish American, and they may have gone on a couple of trips to Ireland, but they'll write some book and they'll set it in Ireland, and then they'll want to promote it in Ireland. And I don't even say anything. I just say, oh, well, you know, good luck, and, you know, hope you sell. But typically a culture doesn't want to hear an outsider describing their culture.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want someone writing about Texas who wasn't from Texas.
That's right. That's right. And that's why even the guy that, whatever his name, Grant, from England, and spent time in New York and then moved to wherever, Mississippi, and he's written 2 books now on the Mississippi culture. And I know that the state of Mississippi strapped itself in, saying, who is this outsider that's going to come in here? Is it going to be tongue in cheek? You know, what does he know? You know, and
Yeah.
so I think he ended up doing exceptionally well, that his take on it didn't offend anybody. And he wasn't supercilious or any of this. And so, but yeah, it's understandable how the French, you know, with regard to your book, plus it's historical fiction, you know, so that I think would also sweeten that deal in terms of, you know, especially since it's a historical fiction. And so it's nothing personally, and it's not an assessment on your writing or whatever. It's just on their, you know, lack of an open mind towards him wanting to hear, you know, somebody else's perspective. But the book was brilliant.
2 nights, I just consumed every bit of it. It's
I
wonderful.
loved it.
I did.
Absolutely.
Cover, everything's wonderful.
Ah, the cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So nice.
I mean, it's just everything right about that book. I mean, I found the story, the, you know, as an author, and Stephanie will probably say the same thing, and so will Kathy, but, you know, authors read differently, that we're looking at how you did it. We're looking at the way it's laid out. We're looking at the ebb and flow of the craft and the choices that you made, you know, and so they were all the right ones. You know, I mean, I applaud you, Judith. It was a beautiful, beautiful, intelligent job, and a very sensitively told story, and a very astoundingly personal story for historical fiction, that it's not every writer that can really get a handle on how to, you know, personally engage the reader with something that's historical fiction. You found, you know, the middle ground for how to tell that story. And, you know, I'm just so proud of you. You did a beautiful, beautiful job. And, you know, I don't say that lightly, because I don't love everybody.
Neither do
I do
I.
not love everybody's book.
I only praise the ones that I pick, but
Yeah, me too. You want to love everybody, but you also don't want to lie, you know.
what is wonderful about this
Yeah.
is your first book was great. You know, we had you for your first book, which was Wycliffe.
Wycliffe.
Hall.
Well,
Yeah, Wycliffe.
If I had to do one thing over, I think I would change the name of that book,
yeah,
but
'cause I
Everybody
can't
knows it's
pronounce it.
Wycliffe. Everybody
But-
knows that.
But to have this one come out second is a real treat, because usually the book that follows the first book, you go, oh, well,
Yeah.
so to have that great book and then to come
Ah.
out with this, I can't hardly wait to see what you're going to do after
Me
this.
neither. And it was a wonderful choice, career-wise, and Graydon Press, isn't it Graydon?
Graydon House.
Graydon House,
Yeah.
prestigious, and they don't take everybody, and you better be good. And so, you just did everything right with this book, and Pulpwood Queens got behind it. And, I mean, in as much as anybody can really significantly work a book, during COVID and all this, I think you had everything going for you.
Well, I don't think I would have written, I don't know if I even would have written it if it wasn't for Pulpwood Queen's support of my first book, because
Oh, really? Wow.
Good
That's
well,
point.
my first book would have just nobody would have even known it existed if it wasn't for, you look at the sales, and when that book came out, and then when I went to Pulpwood Queens in January, I mean, of course, then it goes like that again, but it was, but I mean,
that
so many people, I met all of you and so many other people that have been such great contacts and support all these years. I mean, if I hadn't had all that, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember Kathy introducing you with Wycliffe Hall, and I remember thinking you're so lovely. And this was before I knew you went to UVA. My brother Kathy went there, and I spent some time in Charlottesville. But so before I realized that she's also an intellect,
I don't know about that.
yeah. And so all of this, but that is the power of the Pulpwood Queens, that when you meet people personally and you like them, you think, plus Wycliffe Hall, anything in the UK, all that, I love all that, and so it definitely got you on my radar, that I was ready when the Chanel sisters, because you came back before, isn't that right? Before the Chanel sisters came out. And I remember
we kept thinking this book was
I know.
going to come
I
out.
was like, I cannot go back again
Yes,
without,
you can. Yes, you can. Anytime.
well, it was,
Yes, you can.
what was I had something good I was going to say, and now I can't think of it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was terrified when I came that first time. Terrified.
Oh my gosh.
First time I realized, wait, I wrote a book and now I have to talk in front of people. I have to go up there, and but it was good. I think it was really actually good that book came out first, because then I got used to talking to people and, talking about the book. And so that with the Chanel sisters, then I didn't have that hump to get over where, I had to get over my stage fright.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand that everybody wants to write a book, but then they don't understand the marketing and publicity part. Nobody explains that. And everybody thinks that, oh, your publisher's going to do that for you. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I remember even when my book came out, I had to put together they said, where do you want to go? We'll send you through the South. So set it up. And so I set up my entire tour, of where I was going to go and everything that I did. And I was gone a month and a half. Can you imagine?
No.
It took 5 of my book club members with me.
I can imagine that. I can totally see that.
We had 27 boxes and pieces of luggage in this gigantic Suburban, and we were gone from the beginning. We left right after New Year's. We came back in for my daughter's birthday on the 27th, and then we took off again. And I remember we got back just in time to drive the Suburban in the Mardi Gras parade in Jefferson.
How
And
fun.
yeah, it was really a lot of fun. We called it the Death and Dying Tour, because I took all these people. We went from up to Oklahoma, and we just barely got to Oklahoma City. And one of the girls' aunt died. So we had to get her to the airport so she could fly back. So we lost Liz. And as we went on the tour, we kept having people's family members die. Oh, it was just, I came home with one person. And then when I got home, I actually, my next door neighbor was one of my Pulpwood Queens who went with me. I actually had to go with her. She followed me back to Longview to return the rental vehicle. And I remember I went with her to Hobby Lobby to buy a box to bury her brother in. You can't make this stuff up. I
You
mean,
can't make that
it
up.
was not funny at the time, but now I think about it and I think, oh my God, I can't believe we bought a box at Hobby Lobby. But I remember that when my dad died, because that's where I went and got his for his cremation too, and I got a beautiful one. So it's
Yeah.
so back to your book. So you spent that time. Is that where you got the? Tell us where you got the idea that you wanted to write a book, because that's kind of intimidating to me to even think about writing a book about Coco Chanel, even though the story hadn't been told, because there's been so many books. What was the thing that you said, I've got to write this story?
Well, I just wanted to tell it from her sister's point of view. I don't have any sisters, and so I was really intrigued by, not only have I always wondered what it would be like to have a sister, but I was intrigued by what it would be like to be Coco Chanel's sister. And so I think, one thing I've shied away from was doing anything from Coco's voice, other than, Antoinette hearing her. I don't think I would be too intimidated to do, I think, you never know, but I think I'm too intimidated to actually pretend to be Coco in my head. I don't know if I want to do that. But
maybe by your fifth book, we'll be real surprised about who you're going to be writing about, but you did such an excellent job. So how long did it take you to research and prepare for this?
It took about 4 years,
Yeah.
Which is a lot shorter than the first one. So
How long did that take?
that one took to publication 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think anything of that, because I wrote my first book. It took signed the contract, I think, in 2002, and it didn't come out till 2008. And what's weird is I turned it in June of 2006, and they did not publish it till January of 2008. I had to sit on it, but I was busy the whole time because they had me just jumping. You sit and wait, and then they go, okay, tomorrow I want you to have an author of your choice interview you, and you write the questions and have it ready for our website. Oh my God, who am I going to get at last minute? And luckily I got Christopher Cook, and he was in Prague at the time, and I got him to do it, and he did a marvelous job. But it's always amazing. So when the book actually launched, like this week, right? It just launched finally after all this time. Because I still have the galley. I mean, I still have.
No, it came out in December.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, December. Okay, I still
bought
have the
one.
galley. I need to get the hardcover copy, but and that's probably a good time because you got Christmas sales and everything.
Well, it came out December 29th, so it was after, but a lot of books came out December 29th.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there must
You've done a good job at telling people that it was coming, and I think that do you have a publicist outside of your?
No, they've let me use they've done a lot for me. Because, I've had the experience of my first book was with a really small publisher, and I did everything basically myself except publish the book. And now with a big publisher, it's the complete opposite. And so, yeah, they've done a lot of the publicity for me. And there's a nice publicist who arranges a lot of things for me. And
That's wonderful.
Are you doing any book signings in Houston? I mean, is Murder by the Book or anything doing anything? I mean, they're still curbside. And I just read that the owner of Brazos, is it Brazos, that the owner just died down there? I was so sad because I had a wonderful book signing there too. So it's kind of.
Do you have plans to do in-store appearances at this point?
No, not yet. I don't know.
Not yet.
Today they just lifted the mask order in Texas. The governor did today.
I hadn't heard. Had you?
Yeah, and everything's open 100% now.
That's wonderful. I'm so jealous.
You don't. I mean, businesses can still make people wear masks, but you don't have to wear.
What's crazy about that is everything,
have to
open,
wear
but
it
all the
anymore?
pipes are still broke.
Yeah. So it's not mandatory, in other words, because I'm saying in California, we'll be wearing masks for the rest of our days. I know California. We will be
Yeah.
wearing masks this time
But
next
they
year. I can
said we
tell you.
don't have to wear the masks.
Governor Abbott come on today. There was a lady in the store and she stopped because her phone had a news flash, and Governor Abbott come out, and this coming Wednesday, the mandatory mask is no more. And
I'm moving to Texas.
Move to Texas.
I'm
Yeah.
on my way.
No, and there's no more lockdowns, partial lockdowns. Everything's open full capacity. So
That's great.
I started.
That's
I'm gonna
wonderful.
hold my breath on this one because, I know what happened in my family at Christmas time and how they all got together at this dinner theater and then everybody got COVID. So, we'll see. I'm staying home until I just have this gut feeling that, false sense of security. But I
You don't
will
want to be
say,
a guinea pig.
I don't, and I
Yeah.
haven't got the vaccine yet, but I'm waiting on the Johnson & Johnson thing now because it's and they say it's good for the new strains. But anyway, but down in Houston, are people wearing masks to like?
Oh, yeah, everybody's wearing a mask everywhere. I mean, so I don't know, when people say there's all these people not wearing masks, I don't know where those people are because everywhere
They're in East Texas.
they're not in Houston because everybody in Houston is wearing, people will go out for a walk and not wear a mask, although some will, but
Yeah.
in the stores, everybody has a mask on. And,
Yeah.
as far as the capacity though, I didn't realize we weren't at full capacity.
Oh no, you haven't been able to book a convention center because you can't have more than 50 people because you can't social distance. I go, well, I had 70 authors come to Girlfriend Weekend last year, so I guess just the authors will come. We're waiting and seeing, but right now we're scheduling it for virtual next year. So
For 2022?
For
January 2022.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And because right now the place that I wanted to have it is not open to booking anything yet.
Okay.
Really?
No.
Not even for
I love the Pulpwood Queens in person because it's so much fun.
Yeah, well, I do too, but the Tennessee Williams is virtual this year.
Yeah.
That's my other favorite thing.
That's going on now. isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
April. March 4th starts this week at the Pat Conroy Center. It's online. Everything's online.
Yeah.
All the book festivals I know, even the Texas Book Festival is scheduled to be mostly virtual.
When is that?
October.
Oh, see, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that everybody is coming out of their caves, blinking in the sunlight. Nobody knows how to talk to anybody anymore. I think everybody needs to sort of, that's what I said to my husband. I can't go anywhere. I don't know how to talk to anybody.
I can't go anywhere because I don't have any clothes that I want to wear. That everything I wear has a stretchy waistband.
Well, I can't
is
get my hair done. Any of this, I'm like, okay, this is it.
I had somebody say to me, what do you mean you haven't washed your hair since your water pipes broke? And I go, have you ever tried to boil water and bathe?
Yeah.
And wash your hair. You can't get the soap out and it itchy. And so, I go, no,
It's unbelievable.
and they go, well, just go to a hairdresser. And I started laughing because I'm a hairdresser.
I know.
And the salon I worked in is closed forever.
No, that's funny.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. They go to a hairdresser and get your hair done. I go, where? Nobody's open. Are they?
Yeah.
Is there any salon? Do they have salons open in Gladewater?
Yeah, they've never closed, but maybe just a month. Down by Carla, and all of them are open.
Wow.
Well, it's just been such a psychologically strange time. And I haven't really subscribed to it. I'm kind of in my own fairy world and, whatever. And I don't get involved in nonsense. And it's like, you know what? And so just with everything. But, Yeah, there is a sense of waiting for everything to sort of recalibrate and stabilize itself, and then I'll trust it. But there is a little of the unknown for me, and this is just logic and common sense that says, let me wait and see what that backlash is going to be on the COVID shot. Everybody says, this is going to solve all our problems. And I'm like, that's what they've said about a lot of things. And so, I may get a flu shot, the standard flu shot.
I
Like
got a
everybody.
flu shot and a pneumonia.
Yeah, and kind of keep it there for a while until I have plans to travel. And
Have
that's
you
the
got
plan.
one, Judith? Have you
I'm
got?
getting mine tomorrow.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'll
You
tell you.
get, it's 2, right?
I guess so. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get it anytime soon, but then I got a text from the hospital that my doctor's at, and they said, click this link if you want to sign
Do
up.
it.
So, because I was kind of like you, I was thinking, I think I'm just going to wait and see if anybody grows 2 heads or not.
Yeah.
But now that then I got that text, and I was like, well, I want to get out of here. Like, I want to go places, So,
Yeah.
I'm getting it, man, because
You're probably wise. And I
wanted
have a friend who's a vet, a horse doctor, and right up about maybe 10 minutes outside of Memphis. It's called Olive Branch, Mississippi, and she's been doing that for 25 years. She traveled to Nashville, she's like, but these are medical people, in a certain sense, and they're gun ho, give it to me, So I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well,
nothing can be as bad as the, I don't know if you all have gotten the shingles vaccine. Whew.
No.
did you get it?
Yes, a few years ago, it was like I got hit by a truck after that one.
Well,
Really?
they tried to get me to take it, but it was like almost $300. And I go, how much? I go, I think I'll pass. I'm not going anywhere. I don't.
How long were the side effects?
Couple days. Not everybody who I've talked to has had that.
Do you have to get that every year?
No, you get it once in your life. Well, you have to get 2 of those too. But the second one wasn't as bad as the first, but I've heard the shingles is so bad that I was like, and the pharmacist kept, every time I'd go to the pharmacy, she'd be like, would you like to get the shingles vaccine? And finally
What do they charge you for the shingles?
I don't even remember.
I remember because she said it was $200 and some. I go, how much? I go, I'm not going anywhere. I think I'll just risk it. And
I never heard of anybody getting shingles like my whole life.
Really? I know a lot of people.
Everybody's getting it, and you gotta get a shot.
I hear that everybody's getting shingles now.
yeah, my sister had it.
How do you get it?
Over it. I mean, young
It's
people.
something to do with chicken pox. I don't know.
Yeah, if you've had chicken pox, which I have had chicken pox, then you're susceptible. I know Ann Weisgarber got it once and said it was terrible.
Yeah, and I've heard
Very
people get it in their eye, and I'm going, no. My sister got it down her side, and it's so painful. It's like,
What is it? Scalies?
no, it's like just painful, like electric, like if your nerves are just like pins and needles all the time of wherever it hits you. So if it's in your eye, you've got like needles sticking in your eye.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and everybody I've known that had it said you don't ever want to get it because
Well, how do you get it?
it's something about if you had chicken pox, you're susceptible to getting it. And I had every child.
I'm never going anywhere.
You know what? It might be stress too, but you live in Malibu, so you don't have any stress. You just
I
go
don't.
and look at the ocean and, meditate. So I don't think you have to worry.
I try to keep stress at bay, and I will say that in my old age, I'm starting to say, it's all a mind frame. It's all an attitude. It's all how you consider things. I mean, pick your attitude, and I'm very vigilant in terms of, look, I don't have anything to get in a snit about, so stop it.
Yeah.
Change your mind right now, and it's funny the way the mind goes. And that's what, during this COVID and this lockdown and all this thing, the self meets the self, just in terms of what we've all been through.
I mean, I just dive into these books and I just get lost in the stories, and then
That's a good one to dive into.
I start painting, and then I get lost in those stories, and I'm writing and I get lost. I've created my own, like you said, imaginary world because I am so
That's
isolated
wonderful.
here. I've got 2 cats and a kitten, and they're mysteriously not anywhere around, which is really odd. Usually they're jumping all around when I'm
Yeah.
talking, but I don't know where they went. But I saw the insurance adjuster, but that's the first person I've seen. I haven't seen anybody in weeks, because they just drop your package off at your door, UPS, and just, they run. They
Well,
knock
if the
your,
world does open up, we ought to have, it doesn't have to be a Pulpwood Queens, whatever. Maybe we can go on a Stephanie vacation. But
yes.
it'd be fun to plan something and do something.
It would. We can go to the Paris flea market.
That's right.
Well,
let's
I'll
just
tell
do
you
it.
what, if we could do something like that, Janet Skesley and Charles said, she would give us a tour of the American Library in Paris,
Really?
Yeah, she said,
Well-
so we've got a tour guide over there, and Stephanie knows all the people.
Yeah, do you have plans over there, Stephanie?
Oh yeah, we leave, our next one's Barcelona, Spain, and then France. We'll start in Barcelona, and then we'll drive into Avignon, France, that's northern. Then we'll spend nearly a week in Provence. And
When?
that's my next tour. As soon as they open up, we will be on that plane. That's the next one coming
Have
up.
you got that trip filled?
Yeah, it filled a year ago. But then the next one that I've got a few seats left is Southern Italy and Sicily. But we do France nearly every year. We go to Provence. We stay in the monastery where Mary Magdalene in the Bible is buried.
That's so great.
You guys, her
we
trip there.
zoom off and go to places that are unbelievable. We eat in castles, and we've got friends and family everywhere. And then we spend, about 4 nights on the French Riviera. And so right there on the Riviera.
You should look into the convent orphanage where Coco, that they're like big into tourism right now. Like they're trying to get tourism to that part of France. It's kind of remote, but building it, it's so beautiful. It's like a really beautiful, it's not an orphanage anymore. I don't know what they do there, but they have an Instagram page.
I'll have to look into it.
What's it called?
Tony's best friend works inside the Vatican. He's been in there 50-something years. So he just picks up the phone, and I mean, the monasteries that we stay in France, and the one in Sicily is up on top of the mount. It's unbelievable. When the
places they are like,
we have our own chef, everything. And I mean, it's just like, even in the library, all the monasteries have their own library. The head librarian his tomb is right here. They're buried inside. It's really neat.
That's incredible.
Tell about those little Trulio houses we stayed in that are like
that's in Alabarella. That's on the eastern side. If you start, with the boot on the western side, well, we drive all the way over when we're going to Greece, and there's a little village called Alabarello, and the Romans discovered this place many, many years ago. And when they come upon this, the soil is real rocky and stuff, and there was little bitty, they look like upside down ice cream cones, and they're called the Trulli people. They were the Etruscans. The people were Etruscan. The people before the Romans were called the Etruscans.
Yes.
And they had their own alphabet. So these little teepees are still everywhere. And there's a lady there named Maria, born and raised there from generation to generation. And we started going there 21 years ago. So when we come, she'll cook lunch for us, or we go in her Truly, and you see how she hangs her laundry. And she's
Martin and I stayed in one of them.
It's
And
incredible.
I don't know how they're like they're white.
Remember, Kathy, did you go in there with me in Maria's house where the apples are all hanging on the rafters to dry for the winter?
Gave us some kind of food too and stuff. I mean, it's like her home. Well, you go places with Stephanie that you've never heard of. I mean, that one place that we went where we walked across the bridge, and then it was like going into Bethlehem. I've never seen anything like this, and it's in Italy. You go in across this bridge, and you go through this, and then you walk down these cobblestone streets, and it's like you're in biblical times.
Was that in Tuscany? Are you talking about Banglareggio?
Yes.
Banglareggio. My granddaddy used to talk about Banglareggio. And so when I started the tours, I told Tony, which is like a papa to me, I said, we've got to take the Americans to Banglareggio. And he said, how in the world do you know about Banglareggio? Even the Italians don't know about a Banglareggio. My granddaddy used to talk about it, but it's truly, and I wrote a whole chapter in my book, but it is truly unbelievable. It's just the people that are born and raised there die there, and that to them, Americans, it's like a fairy tale storybook.
I can't describe it. And then in Greece, we climbed up this mountain, and there's these like monolithic stone things shooting up, and then on top of one of them is a monastery. And she goes, we're going there. And I go, how the heck are we going to get there?
How did you
I've
get
never
there?
seen any. I had no idea there were that kind of heights in Italy and Greece. And when you walk across, I felt like I was in a movie. And then you go in and all these monks are running around with the robes and stuff. And we went into that one church, and Stephanie's showing us you can't go behind the curtain. Do you remember? Oh man. I was just like going, oh my gosh.
You're not supposed to go behind the Holy of Holies.
This is such a great story.
Oh, well, they're all in her book. They're all in her book, but we went to the Mamma Mia church, which they can't explain to you that it's really high up, and you've got to climb up like 100 and some feet up these steps, and there was no guardrail the first time I went.
Round and around and around.
You go
How
up
did you
there.
get down? Did you have to go
You
down
gotta
there?
come back down, and it's almost like you're sitting on your seat as you're going down. It's just,
Oh my God.
and Margie and I got up there, but what we found out later is Stephanie told us that, I go, Meryl Streep, you know, she ran with that scarf. So we did this, I did a reenactment. I said, I'm sorry, shit, there's like cliffs on either side of me. And if I fall, I'm going into the ocean, you know, the Mediterranean. And I'm pretending that I'm not scared as I'm running up the steps with the scarf. Stephanie snapping photos. But we found out later, Meryl Streep got there by helicopter.
Yeah,
She never climbed up there.
Started at the bottom and did the scene, but then the helicopter took her to the very top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's great.
Practically any place you want to go, we can make it happen because of all the connections. And Tony's friend's been inside the Vatican. He's still there 50 something years. So we just pick up the phone and Tony will say, Stefania's here with the Americanas and we need to get into this. When we were going to Greece years ago, I had about 14 people, and Tony knows I love the biblical history. And so Tony goes, he was talking to the friend at the Vatican and he said, Stefania's here, we got Americanas. And he said, we're on our way to Bari, Italy. That's where Santa Claus is buried, St. Nicholas. And then we were going on to Greece. But anyway, he said, well, ask Stefania if she wants to see the spine of Christ. It's in Andria, Italy, and we're not very far. We were only like 20 kilometers from where we were at. And of course, I turned around and everybody goes, what is a spine of Christ? And I said, a spine means thorn in Italian, one of the thorns that come from Jesus's crown.
Right. Yeah.
So it's under lock and key in a dome, a gold reliquary. So we just veered off and went, and he sent a bishop to unlock the vault to go in. And we're just there looking at it, and it's unbelievable. It's about that tall, and just mysteriously, ever so often, the red blood will come out of the top and drip on it. Mysteriously, just
that's unbelievable.
We went into some unbelievable. Do you remember the church? And I was thinking that was that in Italy, where they had all the skeletons on the wall painted?
That's Sicily. Did you go to Sicily with me?
No, I didn't go to Sicily. It was black and white, and they had painted all. I took a zillion photographs because I've never been to a church that had. It was like Jack skeletons. All.
Well, we may have taken you to Napoli. In Napoli, there's the underground, and there's nobody can go in there but Tony. I don't know if Tony.
We went some crazy places. but-
Okay, y'all, we are so boring. America is so boring.
Except for, I'll tell you one place that I've been here that's like that is, have you been to the Biltmore?
I have been
No,
there.
I want to
I
go.
love the Biltmore.
I want to go.
I could live in the Biltmore. It is the most cool. It's like the
Yeah.
American Castle. I want to live in the Biltmore and I want to see the breakers, but I haven't seen that. But that's one place that I've been that's like no other. And they've got the winery and the farm and they've got all this stuff to do. And I took my daughter there and she goes, I don't want to go see an old historic home. And she goes, Mom. And they had just gotten in the Downton Abbey,
Yeah.
stuff. And she goes, Mom, she loved the town. And we stayed in a steampunk bed and breakfast. That was an Airbnb.
I
And
actually used the kitchen at the Biltmore as part of my Wickworth Hall kitchen.
You're kidding.
Like some of the stuff in that kitchen, I was like, okay, so this is kind of what a kitchen would have looked like.
Were was it who owned the Biltmore? Was the Carnegies?
Vanderbilts.
The Vanderbilts?
Yeah.
Cornelia's bedroom. I want it so bad. The
Ah.
walls are silk with cut velvet flocking. It's just unbelievably gorgeous. One bedroom is completely covered in gold silk walls. It's just,
That's Stephanie's bedroom.
yeah, definitely.
Yes, it is.
We went to the top with the gargoyles down to the basement because Deanne Geist had set a book there. And the first time I went there, and we spent the weekend and we had Victorian parlor parties and we had private tours and all the tour guys read the book. That's what you need to do. You need to set your book someplace where you can get all the tour guys to read your book and then we go on a tour of it.
Well, I have something to tell y'all. I just looked it up. There's
Yeah.
something called the Winchester Mystery
Oh,
House.
yeah.
Okay.
The
It's in
Bible
San
Queen.
Jose, and we would always see the signs for it when we drive up to Carmel, which is about a 4.5-hour drive. Carmel is on the Monterey Peninsula, and we went back and forth for a lot of years. And yeah, it was the widow of the Winchester guns.
It was a house that
And she never wanted to finish the house being built. So she hired these people and they built rooms that didn't need to be built. They built staircases that didn't need to be built. So there's staircases in this house that go nowhere and just like end in a door. There are useless rooms in there, cubby holes, cellars. I mean, the thing, she had them building for some insane amount of years just to kind of keep activity on the grounds. So now the house is, they call it the Winchester Mystery House. And I'm trying to think how many rooms they have in it, but look it up, the Winchester Mystery House online, just out of curiosity, because you're like, was this woman insane? But the house looks really, really cool and it's beautiful and it's on these grounds and people come from all over the world to see this house.
What about, have you guys, did you read Empty Mansions, the story by Bill Dedman?
No.
Well, it's about the richest woman in the world. She was the daughter, she was French, her mother was French. She was the daughter of the Montana Copper King.
Okay.
And she owns houses all over the United States. And Bill discovered them when he was looking for a place to live in New York. And he came around the corner and there was this Circle Drive and this vintage car sitting in there from the 30s. And he walked in and he said, what's the story on this place? He goes, this was, what was her name? Huguette. She was French, but the latter years of her life, she lived on the top floor of a hospital in New York City. But she had so much money. She had mansions across the country that she had fully staffed so they'd be ready for her to come at all times. And the last one she had been to was in the 60s. But so Barbara, she has the big home on the point that has 3 sides of ocean. It's out on the point. She left it to the city. And Bill's always talked about, you should do a story on Marion Davies of who did, I went to the other house in California. I only took one of the tour, but they have 6 tours of the newspaper magnate that
William Hearst.
the Hearst Mansion.
Yeah, and that's in San Simeon, and that's
San
not far
Simeon.
from me, but you have to book a tour to see that
You,
way
it
in
takes
advance.
forever to get there. And then the driveway is 20 minutes long. And
Yeah,
the
it's
castle
gorgeous.
is above the clouds. I don't know how to describe it. So we have some magical places, but you have to, it's not like in Italy, it's around every corner, or, I mean, we went to some, I love Italy and I love Greece. I'd love to go back. The islands, we went island hopping, and the one island, the only way of getting around is on donkeys. Yeah,
Makes me
donkeys.
sad. Those little, I'm such an animal lover. I like, people will go, can we ride the donkey? I'm like, no, walk. Don't get on that little donkey.
I'm not going to get on a
Good
donkey.
for you.
I
Good
didn't,
for you,
Why?
Stephanie.
but I did buy a little donkey ornament when I was there, but I wouldn't ride the donkey either. But the island hopping thing, and we even lost a woman on one of the islands.
I forgot her.
Yeah, she was trying on shoes and
You forgot her.
she missed the boat. She was
She
like
was
80.
buying shoes. She was buying shoes, and she's traveled with me before, and she's real good. She comes with Dr. Clark and them from Dallas, and they forgot about her too. And when we got back on the boat, to go to the next island, we're going back to Greece. Well, we're all sitting there, and talking. Everybody's doing their own thing, and Dr. Clark comes up and he goes, "Stephanie, have you seen?" I can't think of her name. Anyway, I said, "Oh no, she's around here somewhere on the boat probably." And he said, "I've looked everywhere. She's not here." And I said, "Oh, she's so little petite. She's somewhere."
Little bitty, and she was like 86, wasn't she, or something?
Yeah, she looks
Apparently
like
she wasn't a memorable character because you
Oh,
forgot her.
no, she
And you
was,
can't
but
remember her name.
and she was the
Poor
second
woman.
one of the senators. I mean, she had a fabulous job. She was one of the senator's secretaries.
she was a lovely lady. But anyway, she got to trying on shoes and she forgot and she missed the boat. And you won't believe this. Tony arranged it. She got on one of those flying dolphin boats and she beat us back to shore.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
left her?
This is a
I'm
great
sitting with
story.
Tony and Nino's laying his head on me. We're just sitting there, just chilling out. And Dr. Clark said, "No, Stephanie, I've looked everywhere. She's not on the boat." I said, "Tony, we forgot her, or she's not here." So anyway, he makes a phone call back to the island, and they said, "She's here at the little police station here." She got back for the boat, and y'all had already gone, but she said she had to buy these shoes.
Yeah, I hope they were worth it.
So
Okay,
we-
when we go on one of your trips, we all have to do something crazy so that it can be in your book.
Totally, 'cause that's the
We
best,
don't
that's the
have
best
to-
story I've
We
heard in a
don't
long
have to
time.
plan anything. It just happens.
It just happens. It's just that people say, "How do we get in your book?" I said, "Trust me, you
You
don't."
just go on the
You
trip.
know, yeah.
Happen.
Tell
Do not
about
aspire to that.
tell about
Because it'll be
how
weird.
our big Mercedes bus pulls down to the shore of Italy, and there's a big freighter ship there with a gangplank down, and they go, "We're going to drive this big old bus into the belly of the ship." And I'm going, "What?"
That's
This
how we get to Greece. And that's how
the
we
ship was, the belly of
Yeah.
it was the size of like 17 football fields.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
we do is we start in southern Italy. We go everywhere, but then when we stop and do things on the way. But when we get to Bari, Italy, which is all the way from the western to the eastern, you can't go any further because here's Bari and then it's the ocean.
Mhm.
Well, we go and see the Basilica, Santa Claus, where Santa's buried. About 6:30. I don't tell people. They're like, "Oh, by the way, how are we getting to Greece? We can't float across with a bus."
Right.
I said, "Well, see that big ship out there? We're going in that." And everybody's like, "Yeah, right." And I said, "No, we really are." I said, everybody is going to go up the escalator, follow me. You'll have your own rooms. And then I said, "You're going to sleep for a few hours. And then we wake up, you're going to hear the horn. And we're in Greece. We go down the escalator, get back in our bus, and we're off. And that's where we
Cool.
go to Matoria, to the mountains. And then we just go everywhere."
That just sounds like the greatest way to travel. What a
We like
blast.
to take our bus because that way we can go inside of Greece and not just on a ship, you know, to where you're going from island to island. Because there's so many, like when we get into Athens, Plonka Street, I have to take everybody to Plonka Street because it's miles and miles. And it's where people come from Turkey and all the different countries around that adjacent area to bring.
I bought so much stuff. I bought so much stuff in Greece. I bought all these.
I love that.
And wall hangings, and I mean,
Those are great.
I love all this international stuff. But Margie and I ended up having to buy another suitcase. I bought so much stuff on that island hopping trip, but it's so much fun. I just want to go back, but I want to do.
You've got me sold.
A pulpit
really
queen,
do.
a pulpit queen trip would be the best.
I think so too.
Will y'all tell me where y'all want to go, and I'll
We
take.
want to go to France so we can do some
We
things.
should do a book hopping event, like different,
Yes.
where different books.
Well, I told Stephanie what we need to do is see if Tony can set us up a book signing in, Italy and France.
But
No.
then the only question would be, how would they get the books?
You would
Well,
have to.
My book is published in Italy.
There
Well,
you
then we'll
go.
go to Italy. Because Judith's already set up. That's
Can
one,
they order from
that's a good reason to
Amazon?
go.
Can bookstores order from Amazon?
Yeah.
So if you're on Amazon.
I don't think they like to. I don't
Well,
think they
I
like
know
to. Ask
Patricia
Sherry.
Davis had a American bookstore in Greece, and she ordered her books from publishers.
Well, that's true. There's American bookstores.
Yeah, American bookstore.
Probably just have to find an American bookstore.
Well, that it's worth pursuing to see where it would be logical to therefore go on a trip.
So we
Where
could
the books
say
are.
that we had an international book signing in Greece and Italy and France. How cool would that
You
be?
know how fun that would be?
It would be so
The
much fun.
Pauper Queens do Europe.
That's the third book.
I'm telling
Sounds
you.
so
That's
scary.
the third book. That's gonna
Why
be
not? We should-
because I have
Stephanie, can you at least in your spare time, because I know you have spare time.
I have more time in the world, you guys.
No, but I can look into, all right, if I were to do a 10-day.
It's usually about
13 days. You don't want to go less than.
Okay, 13 days. Where would it make the most sense to do it in terms of, time from getting to one place to the next, to the next, to the next, I
she
mean.
knows how to do it.
Yeah,
I
Stephanie knows.
do.
I do. I've never not done at least 2 and 3 tours every single year for 21 years.
Well, if you could do a Pulpwood Queen, you'd have like 20 to 40 people on board.
I know she would, because I
she
know
would.
all my authors
We
said,
would so fully do
next
this.
time you go, I'm going.
I'm totally going just because, let's do it. Because, this is it. Let's live our lives, let's live our lives.
I just
And-
thought, well, we've gone. I mean, when I go on the trip, Pulpwood Queens go.
But
A
the
lot of them
Pulpwood
bring their
Queens all
husbands.
together,
There's not usually the full buses in all Pulpwood Queens, but Christy and Danny went. We've had several Pulpwood Queens go, and we have a lot of fun. Margie always has gone, but I know Heidi wants
Yeah.
to be my roommate when we go. She said, "I'm your roommate because you've got to call your roommate," and it's a blast, you guys.
all right. My husband and my dogs are upstairs. It's 6:30 my time. I'm gonna love y'all and leave you. Congratulations, Judith.
Well, we're
I'm
gonna
so proud of you.
spread
Thank
the
you.
word that you make so much money. We can all go on a trip to France together. Okay.
Yeah, and Stephanie, next
if I
time I
do-
chat, I want to know who hit you with a fairy stick that you have the most beautiful face ever, and you don't age. And I want to know what your secret is. So that's going to be another conversation.
There's someplace in Italy. Italy.
That's it.
It's just not even fair.
You don't have to buy any creams and all that stuff. Just get a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and just.
Yeah.
before you go-
Seriously, is that what you do? You put virgin?
Grapeseed oil. I've been using grapeseed oil.
I just get the extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah.
I bring some back or ship it back from Italy, or you can get
Yeah.
it. And I use, I think, Noxzema just to clean my makeup off or whatever. Then I just get a little bit of extra virgin olive
Got
oil.
good genes, y'all.
No, it's genetic. I know.
It's totally genetic. And I think that if that would solve my problems, I'd be doing it. But I have been, I'm swearing off buying expensive oils. I do like oils better than creams. In my old age now, that's what I've been using. And I've been reading about grapeseed oil.
Yeah.
And it doesn't break you out. It's apparently very
We
compatible.
I really would like to have Vince Spinato's new skincare.
Yes.
Because
he knew
it's
what he was talking
fabulous,
about.
but it's like $1,500. And I'm going, oh man.
It's genetics. I mean, listen to Stephanie. She's putting extra virgin olive oil on her face. End of
Yeah.
discussion. Why is
Yeah.
anybody paying anything for anything?
You know, the Italians, even Pat from Wales, she said, what is it with the Americana? She said they spend all of this money on cosmetics and creams and all that, and they don't do that in Italy.
They don't do anything either. I mean, unless you're like injecting human growth factor into your skin. I mean, anything short of that, anything topical,
I'm
Not gonna
sorry.
do it.
I don't do pain. I'm not shooting it.
Me neither.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
me
gonna do it.
neither.
Well, I'm excited for you, Judith. And,
Nice to see you.
we're really excited for you. And I will do everything I can to help you. If you want to schedule a more in-depth interview, we can do that. Anything I can do. You're doing great on your blogs. Everybody loved it. We were just talking about how little her waist was in that picture.
I know,
Like 12
crazy.
inches.
I mean, it's like, did she even have any ribs?
I think she might have had malnutrition from her past,
Remember the story of Breakfast at Tiffany's. She was
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn. She was actually malnourished as a child because it was all during the World War II and stuff, and they didn't have enough to eat, and she never could ever really gain weight because she was so malnourished as a little girl. So but we're not going to do that on this trip, y'all. We're just going to have a good time.
Well,
and
we're going to make up we're going to make up for those that were malnourished.
Yes.
Okay, start a list and we'll tell everybody, let's sell tons of copies of Mama Mia and Little T and Judith, the Chanel sisters and the Pulpwood Queens.
That's right.
Hit the airways. And she does the flights and everything. It's really amazing. So
All right, well, we'll discuss. But listen, you know what a lift seeing y'all.
Yeah.
I know, it's so
Day, my
fun.
time. I looked forward to it, and y'all measured up. It was nice to
Okay.
see everybody.
Well, we'll see you. I'm going to record this and it's going to be up on my Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel so you can share it with everybody. And we just want everybody to run and buy this book because it's a winner.
Beautiful book.
Thank you. Y'all are so sweet. Thank
It's
you.
a wonderful book.
Great to
Love you,
see you.
Judith. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, y'all.
Bye.